So today we're going to look at pre-colonial administration in Nigeria before 1900 AD, basically before the arrival of the British government, right? So if I use the term Nigeria here, just somewhere in your mind, remind yourself that there was no Nigeria by then. We had independent tribes running their own governmental systems and the like, right? So our objective today, we're going to understand what the environment looked like before the arrival of the British government. We're going to discuss the Hausa Fulani Empire and then the administrative structure of the Hausa Fulani Empire. So before the coming of the British men in Nigeria, the various ethnic groups were autonomous. That means they minded their affairs, had their kings, or had their political system that worked for them, right? However, for the purpose of this topic, we're going to look through the lenses of the Igbos, the Hausas, and the Yorubas, right? So the Hausas, after the arrival of Islam, was highly centralized. Kings had divine power. They had a mandate from God, so they were obeyed thoroughly, obedience without fault, right? So it was their centralized system was deeply rooted in the Islamic religion. The Yorubas had what looked like a centralized system, but there was a bit of check and balances involved, right? They were organs of government, so the king wasn't an absolute ruler. The Igbos never had a centralized system, minus a couple of towns like I think Nri or thereabout, they had kings, maybe on the I don't know. I'm not sure date-wise now. I'm not trying to be historically exact. I'm just trying to teach governments, right? So on it, I think they had kings, right? So but the whole of the entire Igbo environment were like it was an acephalous environment. Acephalous simply means the absence of a central political head, while cephalous means that is the presence of a political head. Take note of these key terms I'm using. Now, the Hausa Fulani had its origin. The jihad, which was launched by Ottoman Danfodio, made the Fulanis become the rulers of the Hausa territory. So you hear the term Hausa Fulani, and it also introduced Islam into that region. So Islam actually ensured that the Islamic religion ensured that kings were all powerful, right? So Usman Danfodio settled at the Sokoto Caliphate. His headquarters was in the Sokoto Caliphate, and he split the kingdom into two between his son and his brother, right? Each of these emirates was headed by an emir, right? Okay, so his son, his name is Muhammad Bello, was his son, took over the eastern section, while Ibrahim Abdullahi, who was Danfodio's brother, that means Muhammad's uncle, took over the western section. So let's look at how these emirates were administered to, right? At the head of it all, we have the Waziri, who was a senior official and also the advisor to the emir, right? The Galadima is the administrator of the capital city, like the minister in charge of FCT. Now, in WAEC, you may be asked, some of these names may be used, and you'll be told to give the English equivalent or the English meaning of these names, right? Sarkin Fada is the head of the police workers. Madawaki, the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, the cavalry. Dugarai, the head of the police. Mogaji is the officer in charge of treasury. You are meant to learn these things, just memorize them. Sarkin Ruwa is the officer in charge of the fishing festival, and Sarkin Power is the officer in charge of the butchers. Don't mind my accent, I'm not Hausa, right? So the entire legislative process was based on the Islamic religion. So Sharia law was the end thing then. There was no secular law. The Islamic religion provided for both administrative and religious purposes. So Sharia law governed the sphere, people's life, secular life, and the Islamic religion provided for the nature of the administrative structure of the state. The judiciary was established in accordance with the Islamic religion, very important. And Sharia law dealt with most of the issues in the land. The emir was the head of the judiciary and presided over the court sessions. So you see, there was religion and and the people's day-to-day social life was fused together. That is the idea here. But in Christianity, both were separate. We'll discuss them somewhere down the line, right? So we tried to understand the Nigeria, understand the nature of Nigeria before the arrival of the British government, discuss the Hausa Fulani Empire, discuss it, and then highlight the administrative heads. That means who were in charge of the administration in the Hausa Fulani states. So I'm going to rest my case here. You've understood that the Hausas were highly centralized. The Hausa Fulani state was highly centralized. So imagine when the British government came, I think they fought against the Northerners in 1903, and that was when they officially subdued the North. Imagine if they had the king in check. Do you think it would be very difficult or easy for them to govern the rest of the populace? Right? If the king had surrendered to them, would it be easy or difficult for them to govern? Now, let me give you a clue. The British government did not usurp the culture of the lands they took over in Nigeria. When we get into that, we'll understand. Rather, they ruled the people through their cultural, political leaders. So this will tell you how. So the more you understand this, the more you figure out how the British government governed their subjects, especially in Nigeria alone. So I want to rest my case here. If you have any question, meet me in the comment section and we'll discuss it further.